Hi, my name is Jumpy Bernard here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
The mix of salty sea air and burnt rubber. The big skies, high banks, and grandstands. The rumble in your chest. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. Honoring history and making it. At the biggest race of the year on the biggest stage of a lifetime. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. You gotta see it to believe it. Secure your experience now at Daytona500.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you on this Tuesday afternoon as we start to look forward to Atlanta and the SEC Championship game coming up on Saturday. We'll go through our show and everything coming up over the next few moments. Thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They also sponsor our headlines for the show as we take a look at what's coming up on this Tuesday afternoon. First things first, we'll go back to Jordan-Hare Stadium for the Iron Bowl booth cam highlights of the Auburn win for Alabama this past Saturday. The booth cam highlights presented by Regions Bank will begin our show. Then we'll visit with the voice of the Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart, get his thoughts on Alabama's win against Auburn, look ahead to Saturday against Georgia. Then we rewind it back to 2012 with Crimson Tide captain Damion Square as Alabama had a thrilling win against Georgia that year. Of course, Damion was on our broadcast staff this past season as our sideline reporter. Always enjoy catching up with one-of-a-kind legend at Alabama, Damion Square, our legend of the week. Then we'll also hear from Tyler Watts, who, of course, is our color analyst on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. He'll join us for Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind, looking back at last night's final episode of the year of Crimson Tide Rewind. This past Saturday, a great win for the Crimson Tide football team, 27-20 against Auburn, and the Crimson Tide jumped out to a 17-0 lead. And even though it became tight and tied in the second half of that ball game, Alabama never trailed, got the go-ahead touchdown, got key stops on defense. Great win for Alabama against the Tigers. That is now 6 straight wins over Auburn in this rivalry. That's the longest winning streak Alabama's had since the Bear Bryant era, and also it's the first time ever that Alabama has posted 3 consecutive victories at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Remember, the game was always played at Legion Field until 1989, so relatively new to see Alabama have this kind of sustained success playing on campus at Auburn. So the win makes sure that Alabama will go to the SEC Championship game coming up this Saturday in Atlanta. 3 p.m. Central kickoff from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Our coverage will start at noon across the network. We are looking forward to what is going to be a great Saturday. Alabama against Georgia for the second time this season. This time, though, meeting in the SEC Championship game. A few quick notes on Alabama basketball. The men's basketball team last week in Las Vegas picked up 2 wins against Maryland and UNLV, and then played tough against a very good Gonzaga team as well in the first game. And now Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide return to action coming up tomorrow in the SEC ACC Challenge against Clemson. 6 p.m. tip-off at Coleman Coliseum. Our coverage starts at 5 o'clock across the network. Women's basketball, after doing well, going 2-0 in the Bahamas at the Pink Flamingo Championships, they returned to action for the 5th grade fast break game. We had a fun time with that on Monday morning, beating Kennesaw State 79-65 as Christy Curry's team improves to a perfect 8-0 on the season. Now coming up on Thursday, also the SEC ACC Challenge and also the opponent, the Clemson Tigers in Tuscaloosa. 6 p.m. our start time. For that game, our broadcast start time at 5:45 on the network for Alabama women's basketball against Clemson. Again, get ready for Alabama and Clemson. We're so used to it in football, but this week it's all about basketball. This past Saturday, it was all about football at Jordan-Hare Stadium as the Crimson Tide posted an impressive win over the Auburn Tigers. We had a lot of fun in our booth cam presented by Regions Bank. A lot of great reactions to this Iron Bowl victory, especially from our guy Tyler Watts, our color analyst. You have to watch to find out some of the best moments of this booth cam. Again, presented by Regions Bank. Let's rewind this win for Alabama against Auburn.
As we get the go-ahead, and Gibbs approaches the football, the 90th Iron Bowl is underway. Waiting on the snap from Alex Rozier and the hold from Dowd. The kick is up, it's got plenty of leg, and the kick is good. Great start for Connor Talty as he boots through the 46-yarder. Alabama with everybody in tight. Jeremy going wide right. It will be a quarterback keep left side. He's got running room. Ty Simpson inside the 20, inside the 15, and knocked out of bounds. A bank first down, and then some. Down to the 11-yard line. What a play. Ty Simpson on the keeper there. Student body left. And Corey, a big-time run there for Bama.
Man, you love to see it. Gino Vandermark running off the sideline, cold turkey, going into the center position, and they have him pulling on the first play of action in this game. Lays a major block out there.
Pritchett, the tight end to the left, along with Jeremy Bernard. Hill to the left of Simpson from the pistol. Looking to throw. Pressure coming. Fires back of the end zone. Jump ball. It is caught. Touchdown, Alabama. Isaiah Horton in the back of the end zone on a beautiful throw from Simpson with 4 Tigers hanging all over him. Finds him for pay dirt, and Bama has a 9-0 lead.
Boy, you talk about man-to-man coverage across the board, no safety help. It was a matter of Ty Simpson buying himself enough time backpedaling and then throwing a beautiful pass over the shoulder of the defender to Isaiah Horton in the back of the end zone.
For Ashton Daniels, gets the snap, looking, firing, and that is dropped. It was broken up, actually. A great job by Alabama's Dejon Lee. He knocked it away from Eric Singleton, Corey, and they've had some drops, but that was a takeaway or a knockaway there by Bama.
No, that was an absolute catch, and Dejon Lee comes in and just punches that ball out from the backside. Phenomenal job getting a stop on 4th down. Now you give the ball right back to your offense.
Simpson bringing Horton in motion. He'll be a fullback. Play action. Wants to throw it to Horton. He's open. Touchdown, Alabama. Isaiah Horton.
All kinds of confusion on Auburn's sideline. They pulled Xavier Atkins off before the play, only leaving them 10 players. They couldn't call another timeout because they had just burned one.
3rd and less than a yard. They will put a lot of beef to the left side. 3 offensive linemen there. They'll hand it off left. They'll run it left, and they ain't getting nothing left. Alabama steps up and gets the stop. It'll be 4th down. Deontay Lawson. Connor Talty on to try a 29-yard field goal from the right hash. He made one earlier from 45. Snap and spot are good. The kick is up, and the kick is perfect. Atta baby. Connor Talty, 2 for 2 on field goal tries. A lot in this 3rd quarter. Daniels looking, firing again. It's off the hands and picked off by Bama. Bray Hubbard 30, 35, cuts it back 40. Bray still on his feet and finally brought down shy of midfield. The deflection, the pick, and Alabama turns away the Tigers.
Oh, we needed that, Chris. We needed it bad. But so close, so often. Defense just continues to grind.
4th and less than a yard right at midfield. Play action. Rolling. Ty stopping, cutting it back. Makes a man miss. Gets a 1st down. I believe it's going to be really close. I do believe he got it, though, by about a yard. Tie game, 20 apiece. Under center. Simpson operating. Handoff. Hill right up the gut. Gets hit. Stays on his feet. Fights forward. Dragging the pile. And he will get across the 40 to the 39-yard line of Auburn.
Listen, Daniel Hill did an incredible job of keeping his feet, but Gino Vandermark, and I believe it might have been Caden Proctor, are the ones that saw him upright and just started driving him forward. Hard hit there at the line of scrimmage. Gino Vandermark just takes him and pushes him forward for about 8 yards.
Alabama started this drive with over 11 minutes to go at their own 25. Hill to the left of Simpson on 2nd and 10. Ty, pressure coming, fires, caught. Jeremy at the 6, trying to break a tackle and gets brought down inside the 10-yard line. And again, it's what, 4th? 2. In 2 yards. Simpson from the pistol. Did they go hard count again? Nope, they're going to snap it. Looking, Ty, fires, catch, touchdown! Isaiah Horton with the grab, and Alabama goes back on top with 3:50 remaining. A 6-yard touchdown strike on 4th down. lost for words.
We barely got the play off with 1 second remaining on the play clock. Ball snap. A hair behind Eyes Horton is working from the left slot, just like right up the middle, going off the rear ends of your tight ends. And he is able to make the catch for his third touchdown of the evening.
Talty for the extra point. It's up. It's perfect. And the Tide leads it 27 to 20. Daniels quick out left side, trying to make a man miss. They do, but get down. It's a tackle. It's a fumble, and Alabama's got it. Alabama forces the fumble, takes it away. Deontay Watson, and the Tide turns away the Tigers.
Covered by the defense. First snap.
Oh, mercy.
Auburn still has timeouts here. Only 33 seconds remaining. You have to be able to extend each of these run plays and force them to use all 3 timeouts.
Bray Hubbard put the helmet right on the pigskin, separating Coleman from the ball. Lawson recovered it, and Alabama gets the takeaway with 33 seconds to go.
They don't have a timeout. The ball will be spotted.
They got to spike it, don't they?
You can't under 3 seconds.
You're right. They got to throw it. Bama's chasing him. He's tripped. Fires downfield. Catch is made. We got him to the ground. And hallelujah, it's over. Jan Pierre with the stop. It's zeros on the clock. And Alabama is headed to Atlanta again and play that song. Final score, Alabama 27, Auburn 20. The Tide advances to the SEC championship game for the 16th time in school history. They called Jordan-Hare Stadium the House of Horrors, but with 3 straight victories, ding dong, the witch is dead. Alabama gets it done against the Tigers and advances to play for an SEC crown again. Tyler Watts, it was anything but easy, but it's a win. It's a state title, and now we chase the conference crown next week.
But I tell you what, jumping out 17-0, and you are dominating this ball. But right before half, Auburn able to put a couple of drives together, get within 11 points, go right down the field, make it a one-possession game, and offensively, all you could muster was 10 points in the second half, but that's all you need to love, the aggressive play calling in the fourth quarter, the 11-minute drive where you're able to take the air, wear down that defensive front for Auburn, and how about this running attack for Alabama, a team that cannot run it, over 150 yards rushing or so here today against this Auburn defense.
27 to 20, your final score. Alabama gets the victory over the Auburn Tigers and will play next week in Atlanta against the Georgia Bulldogs with an SEC title on the line and hopefully easily, automatically, with an SEC title, would punch their ticket to the college football playoff as well.
What's up? I'm Deontay Lawson, and you're watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
Part of all the chaos in the booth, the center of it all was the voice of the Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart, making some great calls in those booth cam highlights, and he joins us now to preview the SEC championship game. Hey, Coach, coming up on Wednesday night, and just give his thoughts on Alabama football and basketball as we get ready for a huge week. Chris, this is just a great time right now for Alabama football fans.
It is. There's no question. And exciting, first and foremost, to take care of business against the in-state rival, to do what was necessary to get that victory and to put yourself back in the SEC championship game once again. And especially when we go back, Roger, to how we felt leaving Doak Campbell Stadium late August, I guess it was, and just disappointing, frustrating, and I won't forget the the look on everybody's face in that locker room. I had to go in and do the post-game radio and TV shows with Coach DeBoer there, and that was not a place that was good to be at that time. And it was a look of shock, disappointment, and I didn't see that coming. And it's one thing when you go into a ball game and you didn't prepare, or you're not ready, or the other side may be better than you. None of those applied in this. They were ready, but for whatever reason didn't play like they'd prepared. And you wonder if a team, frankly, can recover from that. But, man, did they ever. And other than the hiccup against Oklahoma, when, frankly, felt like it was the better team on the field, but didn't get the win, we know why. It's been really impressive since that time, and now have put themselves in position to play Georgia again, hopefully beat Georgia again, and win an SEC title again.
And really, like you described the whole journey of this season, you can also describe to one player, Bray Hubbard, a really questioned for his effort against Florida State. And now nobody's questioning his effort with what he did, especially in the fourth quarter with the interception and the forced fumble against Auburn.
Yeah, and kind of like the team itself, it wasn't exactly what it appeared to be, because one play in particular that kept getting shown, I think he had been injured on the previous play, knocked silly. Probably should have left the field, didn't, because of the competitor that he is, but didn't know where in the heck he was on a certain play that was shown over and over again as an example of what's wrong. Well, he's also the example, as you very well pointed out, of what's right with this team. And the play that he made, to Auburn's credit, game's on the line. They get the ball in the hands of their best offensive threat. And it's not like he was careless with the football. Bray just made the perfect hit, perfect connection. And his second takeaway that he was directly involved with, the pick earlier in the game, I guess it was third quarter maybe, and then that one, which sealed the game for the Crimson Tide. Here I am. I can't use the excuse that I used the other night in the excitement of the moment, saying that it sealed it. This is half a week later, and I'm still saying that that's what sealed it. We had work to do afterwards, but it certainly made it a whole lot easier than it was trending in that moment.
Well, it was a great moment. We had a lot of emotion in the booth, as fans have seen on our booth cam highlights, with Tyler Watts hitting the drums a little bit. That was a good one.
Thought he was going to hit me. That was the look of utter fear on my face. I've slowed down that film as much as anything else, and when you're sitting on your ninth life and you think it's going to go that way, you're like, "Dadgum, come on, man!" But no, it was great, and we know it. I mean, Tyler has truly invested blood, sweat, and tears into the Script A, and all that uniform represents, and it still means the world to him, and that was evident in his emotion, genuine. Reverting back literally to playing days and screaming ball, that it's on the turf, and we got it. And if we owe Auburn a bill for destruction of the press box between he and Tom Stipe, then I think we'll get it covered. But no, it was a great moment for the team, but it was a pretty fun moment for our team in the booth as well.
Yeah, and then speaking of emotion, everyone's starting to see on social media as well, Coach DeBoer being so fired up when you tell him, yeah, we're going to Atlanta for the SEC championship. That just shows how much Kalen DeBoer is loving life right now at Alabama.
Oh, there is no question. And that was another moment where I don't know where in the heck he was going with this. To give the let's go when I kind of break it all down. And I'm so glad, Roger, and we know because you've been around him a ton as well. We're going to pull for Alabama. It's what we do. It's who we work for. It's what we're emotionally invested in besides professionally. But I said it before the game. I wanted Alabama to win because I wanted Kalen DeBoer to win. I have so much respect for him and hold him in such high regard. And I just wanted to see his team have that success and that opportunity and feel the same way this week, because you want to cement the college football playoff berth that comes with winning the SEC crown and not put it in anybody else's hands, because we know goofy stuff can happen if you put it in the hands of people who may or may not be qualified to determine who the best 12 teams are within what the format itself is. So handle business, even though it's a tall order. Again, I know what the past is, but I also know who you're playing and going against on that other sideline. So it's a tall order, but it's a great opportunity and one that I think Alabama will be ready for. But yeah, I was extremely happy for Coach and a little surprised at a lot surprised at the emotion that was shown, the manner in which it was, but not surprised at all that he's happy. I think that emotion, though, and the ability to let it loose, relax, because before the game, the interview with him actually on Friday, I guess it was. Yeah, it was Friday. We did the pregame interview. I'll get it right eventually. I think we actually did do that interview earlier in the day on Saturday. Forgive me. But regardless, it was very, very businesslike, maybe more so than at any point this year between just he and I. And you knew how locked in and focused he was. So to see him be able to enjoy that moment and go, okay, we got that done. Now let's go play. I think that's going to free them up to be the best version of who they are, and I'm looking forward to seeing that on Saturday. Almost said in the Georgia Dome, but Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yep, that's where we're going to be for Alabama against Georgia. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge about going up against this talented Georgia team for a second time this year after you've already played them, already gotten a win in Athens?
Yeah, they're playing far better than they were when we first met them. I don't think Alabama's far from that, because I do think there's some areas, there have been some really good improvement overall and signs of it, not just in a one-game situation, but collectively. But to go out and play at the level you'll need to beat them again, I think is very, very important. And I'm concerned about them adjusting. But while I think we have exercised some demons at Jordan-Hare, they get squirrely when they see the Crimson Tide on the other side. And I certainly hope that squirreliness continues for another ball game. And that, again, we can talk about that, and that's all media type stuff and fan stuff. The reality is you got to go play at a high level, and Bama seems to do that when they play the Bulldogs.
Well, we'll round out the conversation by looking ahead to Alabama men's basketball. A couple of wins last week, over 100 points in both of those games against Maryland and UNLV. And now this week, an ACC opponent coming to our building in Tuscaloosa. Alabama against Clemson always brings back some good memories just thinking about this matchup on the hardwood, Chris.
Yeah, no doubt. It's kind of crazy that these two schools that have been linked in the last decade plus with some classic college football games that either directly or indirectly determine the national champion. Also determined a Final Four berth is going to be the first one for whichever school won it, and thankfully ours did. Phenomenal victory and opportunity that Nate Oates' team pulled off 2 years ago in that game, and very hopeful that we'll see a similar result, although there's a whole lot less on the line. There's frankly I'm not going to say there's nothing on the line. That's not true. They're as Greg Burns says, they're keeping scores. So we might as well win. But this is not going to determine a champion. Both of these, I believe, will be NCAA tournament teams easily. I know in Alabama's case, that's how we're feeling. It's a really good Clemson team as well. And I think it'll be a great matchup and another opportunity to showcase exactly where this program is under our head coach.
We're looking forward to it. Well, Chris, all the best with what's coming up this week. Hey, Coach, the SEC Championship game. It's an exciting time, as we mentioned right off the top, for Alabama fans. And hopefully next time we talk, we're talking about more good football ahead and more meaningful football ahead in the college football playoff. But thank you for your time. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, buddy. Take care.
This isn't just a race, it's the race. 500 miles of glory, a million memories, one place. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. You gotta see it to believe it. Secure your experience now at Daytona500.com.
Last season, Damion Square was our Cook's Pest Control sideline reporter on the sidelines for us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and now he's in a coaching role at West Alabama, but he also is a Crimson Tide legend, a former captain here at the Capstone, and he was a captain of the 2012 Alabama football team that won an SEC championship against the Georgia Bulldogs and did so in thrilling fashion. So we figured it was a good time to welcome in Damion Square to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, talking some SEC championship game memories, plus catching up on everything he's up to these days. Let's welcome in Damion Square. Damion, Roll Tide, man. How's everything going, especially coming off a coaching season for you? How'd you enjoy it?
Man, I enjoyed it, man. I got a chance to, impact some young men's lives, man. And for me, man, that is just so rich, in value. It's a lot of things that give you value and man, to affect young kids that's just trying to figure it out. For me to catch those guys right in that window of, coming to college and, turning into fathers and, just different things like that, man. I really enjoyed that. I thought I would enjoy it, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, man. So this was a blessing in disguise. I miss you guys, but I enjoy coaching these kids for sure.
Absolutely. And how about Scott Cochran and the job he did this first year at West Alabama?
Man, he's just such a great motivator, man. When you realize how, everybody is like, man, he was a weight room guy. How did he impact the dynasty so much? Well, it was just the way that he motivated men. And I didn't forget how he did that, but just to be back with it and to feel it in real time, how he can just enlighten a human to go and run through a brick wall. It's just, a very good gift that he has, man. His way with words and the way that he grabs kids' attention and the way that he gets groups to commit to a mission, I think needs to be studied. Let's just say that.
Absolutely, and especially bringing guys like you into the fold. We visited with Reggie Ragland earlier in the season. Just how special was it to have so many Bama guys a part of this West Alabama program?
Well, one for me, just, in my life, I had a few, things going on in my life, and, just to get back with my brothers, and be able to communicate with those guys daily and kind of catch up with, the space, in time that I have not seen them or been able to be, a part of their lives, that was great. And then just, us being young coaches in this profession and working through that together, that's been awesome as well, man. So, just that camaraderie, us being able to be back with each other, it's helped us in so many ways. And then not only that, where we at, demographically, as far as where we're at, is really beneficial because we're right up the street, from a place where we did a lot of special things. So I think that benefited us a lot too, just location wise, where we're doing this, you know what I'm saying? Where we're making this impact,
One of the special things you did, we're saluting today, looking back at the 2012 SEC Championship game in Atlanta, Alabama, picking up a win against Georgia. Certainly an impactful victory on your journey towards a national championship. But and I just say, Alabama, Georgia, 2012 in the Georgia Dome. What do you remember first?
I'll say this, man. That was one of and coming in, playing a football team, I played against the Tebows at Florida. Played against the Cam Newtons at Auburn. And LSU always bought a team that could compete against us. But I've never went into an LSU game believing that LSU could beat us. I've always, and, whether that was by a field goal or a touchdown, I always believed that we were favored to win the game. I felt like we brought the better team to the field, even with the LSU teams that they had. But I would say this about Georgia. Georgia has brought a team to the field where I wasn't certain. You know what I mean? I remember going to go play those guys in that game, and I'm not going to say that I didn't think we could win the game, but I knew that we would have to play a complete game to beat them because they were playing a level of ball that was very high. I mean, they had Jarvis Jones coming off the edge like a maniac. They had Ogletree playing backer at, I mean, such a high level. And then he went on to the league and played big time ball. Had Rambo back there at safety, you know, putting up big numbers. So when you're talking about just playing against that team and Gurley, just so many guys, they were very intimidating. You know what I mean? They were a team that I knew we had to come in there and we had to execute the game plan. We were going to have to beat those guys into the ground on the field to walk out of there with a victory. And that's exactly how the game went. That game was so intense. I tell people this story all the time. I never looked at the scoreboard. I never, ever, I walked on that field and I competed against those guys. And we competed, we competed against those guys. And that game was so intense. I don't think nobody on our defense looked up until we won the game. Like, I really don't think none of us had an idea that we were losing the game. None of us had an idea that we were probably not going to win the game. Like, that game was so close in talent, and everybody was just so focused on their assignment that we would just focus on executing and dominating the guy in front of us. And whatever results came from that, we were okay with that. And the result was us winning. You know what I mean? And if you look at how that game ended with the tip ball, which was complete confusion, right? It was just a dummy play that the receiver made. If he just dropped the ball, they got another chance at it. But his reaction, just as a human, he caught the football and it was he caught it and ran the game out. But if you look at everybody's reaction, we don't even know that if you look at the defense reaction, we don't even know that the game is over because we were ready to play the next play. That's how intense that game was. If you look at HaHa, if you look at me, if you look at the end of that game and how we all kind of just look up like, oh, we won the game. That's how competitive that game was. We didn't even know that that was happening on the scoreboard. So that's what I would say about this game. This game it's just a game where you got to keep your head down. You really got to keep your head down. You got to focus on the task in front of you, and you got to completely complete that task. Because if you look up, you're probably going to be the team that lose the game.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's all Coach Saban talks about, the process. You guys lived it with them game like that. Now, Damion, for this football team, I know you've been paying attention to Alabama even with your coaching this year. Just what are your thoughts getting ready for this matchup? Alabama's already beaten Georgia once this season. Now we meet again in Atlanta for the SEC crown.
I think that they're playing against a different Alabama team. I think that Alabama is playing against a different Georgia team. But I would say that Alabama is more wounded than Georgia as the journey went on. You know, since then, we're the only wound that they have. We got two. So I say that they're playing against a different animal. And I think that's what you'll see. I think that you'll see Alabama playing wounded. And I think that Georgia will not be able to match that intensity. I know that the game will be a good game. It will be a close game because Kirby kind of understands what we do and how we coming. You know, he kind of teaches the same, pedigree in his players as far as, attention to detail, keeping your head down, completing the mission. That's a Kirby thing. Kirby was on my sideline when we, played that game. He was responsible for that, defensive performance. So I'm sure he'll have his guys ready to play. But I like a wounded Alabama. I do. I like Bama with these wounds. I like them coming into this game with, those scars. And I believe that putting a little alcohol on those wounds will make them play to the level that they need to play to in this game. And I also think that they'll put together a game or a performance that will create some intimidation in the playoffs.
It's exactly what we need. Well, it's Alabama against Georgia coming up this week. Great memories from Damion of that game back in 2012. Just D Square, thank you for your time. Again, we miss you on the network, but we know you're doing great things in coaching. Just thank you again and all the best. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
This is Red Morgan. You're watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
From one legend to another, we go to Tyler Watts. He and I on Monday nights always team up for Crimson Tide Rewind at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills, and we always have a great time catching up after an Alabama win. Looking forward to what's next. We do a little bit of that with the Iron Bowl victory and looking ahead to Saturday in Atlanta and what turned out to be our final Crimson Tide Rewind show of the year. Huge thank you to all the fans that make it to Baumhauer's in Vestavia Hills each and every week, making it a very loud, fun, festive atmosphere for this football show, and we had a great time with it. And you can watch the full episode available on demand on the CTSN YouTube page, the podcast version on the Alabama Insider podcast. But here's like what we like to call Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind, looking back at the best moments from last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind. We are joined by our color analyst, former Crimson Tide quarterback Tyler Watts. And Tyler, the clip is still going viral. Your reaction to Alabama forcing a fumble, Bray Hubbard knocking it loose from Cam Coleman, picked up by Deontay Lawson. Are you going to tap the table a little more tonight?
Well, I just may, and I would like to see what everybody else did watching that play develop and unfold. I thought mine was halfway tamed.
It was perfect. No, everyone's loving it. Otherwise, it would not be going viral like it is.
It was an incredible evening, obviously. A lot of emotions, jumping up 17-0, and then the way that the defense, and that's something we just don't talk about, the defensive performance, and have not all year long, of just their grit and determination to keep this football team in every single game, regardless of how well or how poorly the offense is playing and how you get their backs against the wall. It just really does not matter. So I just want to give them props for getting the 2 turnovers that ended up being the difference in that ball game, because Auburn is threatening in both those situations to put points on the board. And for, you get the tip pass, Bray Hubbard gets the interception, returns it out to the 50, can't do anything with it. You go down there and score and then force the fumble there inside the 25-yard line or so. Who knows if Auburn would have scored or not, but we eliminated all doubt.
And at the center of all of it, Bray Hubbard.
He is, and obviously wasn't feeling well going into that ball game. Not sure exactly what he was struggling with, but there's a lot of stuff going around right now. And just, man, I'll tell you what, it wasn't just him, though. It was across the board. Continued to play a lot of different guys, and I thought the front played extremely well, shutting down the run early on. Secondary, obviously, contesting so many throws. Dijon Lee, Damion Brown, all but eliminating Cam Coleman and his deep threat ability. They tried to go to that one-on-one jump ball probably 3 or 4 different times, and all the Auburn fans wanted pass interference. It was just great coverage in phase, making sure contact was made without getting too handsy. And I just thought across the board defensively, man, played an outstanding ball game.
Yeah, the defense really did a nice job limiting Auburn to only 20 points. Crimson Tide offense helping get 27 in this ball game, a 27-20 win over the Auburn Tigers. Another Iron Bowl victory. That is now 6 in a row. And Tyler, for the first time ever, 3 straight wins at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Yeah, pretty impressive. That was such a difficult place. It took us 5 tries or so before we got our first victory down there. It's been a difficult place to win ball games consistently, even when you have the better football team. You have to play so well. They are just a different ball club down there, and obviously, it kind of goes without saying, it being a rivalry, it means a lot to them as well, and that fan base really elevates the play of their players. But to be able to persevere when some things you kind of lose that momentum and everything's going in your opponent's favor, to find a way to make a 7+ minute drive in the fourth quarter to get the game-winning touchdown. Isaiah Horton, an outstanding night all night long. And, he was kind of the guy. You like to have as many weapons on the perimeter. Without Josh Cuevas, we were 1 down. But it was Isaiah Horton's night to shine, and he was able to do that with 3 touchdown passes.
We've been talking about the journey of this football team, the ups and the downs it's gone throughout the course of this season. Another great win against Auburn, and now another great game is ahead this week. Alabama against Georgia in the SEC championship game. We're going back to Atlanta.
It's very reminiscent of about 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, rather. Or was it 2 years ago? 2 years
23
ago.
23 is 2, yeah.
When we lose to Texas and you pretty much, your back's against the wall. You're just fighting to get in the SEC championship for an opportunity to knock off the number 1 team in the nation and the Georgia Bulldogs. And Jalen Milroe and this Alabama defense once again is able to hold them to 20 points, I believe it was, and pull out the victory and squeak their way into that 4th slot in the 4-team playoff. So, hey, listen, it's kind of deja vu all over again, so to speak, and this Alabama football team finds themselves right on the cusp. You need to play well this weekend, and it's against an opponent that you know all too well, as you have faced them so many times over the last decade. and gotten the better of them. But this will be a different game, obviously, than the way that the one we faced in September. But we're a different football team as well. Kind of developed a little bit of a running a game versus Auburn, something we weren't necessarily sure we would be able to do. Ty Simpson did a nice job of eliminating the sacks for the most part, getting rid of the football. I thought he played well, played within himself, didn't have any turnovers. So here you are. You give yourself a puncher's chance, and we'll see what happens when they tee it up next Saturday night.
Just heard the highlight. Chris Stewart on the call of one of the 3 touchdowns for Isaiah Horton against the Auburn Tigers in this game. All of his touchdown grabs were in the red zone. Tyler, as a quarterback, what makes him such a good option, especially in that red area?
Well, he's able to get the one-on-one matchup, and that was really what Auburn was doing all night long is they were saying, especially in the red zone, all right, we're going man-to-man, going to try to apply a little pressure. We don't think your field goal kicker can come through consistently. And how about a huge shout-out to Connor Talty? Yeah. 2 huge field goals over the course of the evening. You talk about pressure-packed kicks, and he looked unfazed out there, so that was good to see that out of the kicker there, especially after last week. So heck of a job by him. But look, Ty Simpson able to buy himself time, getting pressure, backpedaling, having, as Chris just mentioned, 2 or 3 Tigers all over his feet, just trying to wait for the play to develop. But the height that Isaiah Horton has, you feel so comfortable throwing it up tall to where he can either out-jump or use that long wingspan to go up and snag the ball down. But just a sure-handed guy all evening long. Came through with some clutch catches over the course of the evening. Auburn struggled a little bit with their receiving core holding on to the football, but Isaiah Horton did not.
Certainly did not. 8 receivers caught passes in this game. Alabama 122 yards through the air from quarterback Ty Simpson in this ball game. Again, involved several different players, more tight ends as well, especially without Josh Cuevas due to injury. And again, we did see Ryan Williams on the field. Maybe didn't have a target in this ball game, but continues to be part of this offense.
He does. And look, Auburn, they consistently said, all right, we're putting 3 over 2 receivers on both sides. So that's 6 people out of the box. And then they're taking the remaining 5 and saying, we dare you to run it. And they did not think that we would stick with the run. Of course, we came out in the first 2 possessions. I don't know that we had a single run in all of those play calls. But then we got to it. Jam Miller, I thought, had an outstanding day. You heard Coach DeBoer talk in the postgame about how he felt that Jam was really feeling good. He saw him make some cuts that he has not made all season long. He was quick in the hole, eluding tackles, getting up there, getting positive yardage, was able to break a couple of them loose. We really stretched the edge as well, able to get up to the second level. Was it over 150 yards or so rushing by the running back? So heck of a job by them of taking advantage of the numbers inside. So you didn't see some of the usual suspects. Jeremy Bernard had 1 or 2 catches on the evening, but it was Isaiah Horton getting the matchups when it mattered, when you got those scoring opportunities, and he was pay dirt.
It really was. 3 touchdown performance for Isaiah Horton. What else stood out to you about the performance of Ty Simpson on this past Saturday?
He kept his cool. He threw 1 ball that could have been intercepted down inside the red zone. I think it was eventually led to a touchdown by Isaiah Horton. But outside of that, he was careful with the football, even though he had pressure in his face. He was hitting his checkdowns, hitting his tight ends and his running backs when he felt a little bit of pressure, buying himself some time, throwing the ball away. But just delivering the ball on time overall, even though he had a lot of pressure in his face. But the fact that he was able to walk out of there without any turnovers was pivotal. It was huge in the fact of coming out victorious, and that ended up being the difference in the game.
Yeah, and just no turnovers overall for this football team. What a difference that makes.
Ball security, nothing was on the ground at any point. Like I said, we had that one pass that a defender was able to get his hands on. We dodged a bullet there. But you flush it, you put it behind you, you go play the next play. And you know what? We often don't talk about it, but he extended a couple of plays on several occasions. Some of the touchdown passes where he just bought himself an extra second or 2. Also converting a couple of 3rd and long situations with his leg. The zone read where he pulls it out the backside, scores a touchdown, and gets called back for a holding. Only, Isaiah Horton just wanted another touchdown catch, so we went ahead and held the dude inside the 5-yard line. But he extended the drives with his legs in addition to accurate passing, buying himself time, throwing it away, taking care of the football.
Again, you mirrored all of our fans cheering on that play.
I did, as well as the Alabama football players. Look, that's an exciting time. It is a pivotal part of the game, obviously. Heck of a job by the defense. Once again, you have to make a play. You have to keep Auburn out of the end zone. They're driving down the field, and Bray Hubbard's able to come from 15 yards deep. Defense did a corner. I can't remember exactly who that was. Forced the ball back inside. Little spin move, and he's able to hit him right on the funny bone. And it wasn't so funny to him, but I loved it.
It was a great moment for this football team, winning the Iron Bowl against Auburn. And let's go back in time for just a moment. Back to 1999. Earlier that season in the Swamp, a great win for the Alabama Crimson Tide against the Florida Gators. Later on that year, a rematch in the SEC Championship game, which turned out to be another great win for Alabama against Florida. Just taking me back to that week of preparation and how much you guys heard about a rematch and all the different things like, oh, you never want to see a team twice in a season. How much junk did you have to deal with?
This is what I love. And granted, different time. Social media wasn't around. All we had was print media, papers, newspapers to read. And we read them. But the conversation in the locker room is never what it is outside. The things, the hypotheticals that we talk about on a daily basis, the what ifs, how are we going to do this, what about that, that is alien to these players. It is about putting on film, watching every single day over the course of 4 or 5 days. Here's how we win. Here's how we win. And there's such confidence in both locker rooms right now of this is our game. We're going to go out there. We're going to do this as confident guys. We're going to do this, and we're going to have success. We're not worried about the outcome of the play. We just know if we do it over and over and over and we get more to go our way than against us because of our execution, we're going to find a way to win this football game. And it's a lot of people don't understand what that's like. But if you're going to play at this level, you're extremely confident individual anyway, and you feel that you can go make every play out there. And it's simply just doing your job. That's all it boils down to. That's what the coaches are preaching. Do your job every play. Don't try to be a hero. Do what we're asking you to, because it's all 11 of you working in unison to make a successful play on either side of the ball.
So when your second time playing a team in a college football season, the personnel completely the same, how much does a game plan change from what we saw in September to now?
In our instances, it was dramatically different. Some of the things that you did well, you tried to carry over, but you got to also remember your opponent is looking at what you had success with. They're going to try to have an answer for it. They're preaching, we got to stop this. But you are who you are. We were a running football team. And even though we were going to pound it in the first quarter and a half, 2 quarters, it might not be showing a lot of fruit. But we knew over the course of the ball game, all right, we're going to wear them down. We're going to get our shots. We're going to get our opportunities to start putting some drives together. And that's how we played. These teams are no different. You are who you are. Alabama all of a sudden is not going to come out in I formation and run the ball, 40 times. We're going to continue to have the gadget plays. We're going to continue to push the ball down the field. The square ends, the deep throws are going to be there. We're going to have some shots downfield. Ty Simpson has to make sure he capitalizes on those. Just hit them. Hit the guy in stride. Hit him, give him a catchable ball. We're going to continue to throw it out and attack the perimeters. That's who we are. And then you're going to sprinkle in some off-tackle stuff, some zone, some spread zone. You're going to be who you are because that's what you do best. And because you do it best, they still got to figure out a way to stop it. That goes on both sides. We got to stop their running attack. They're not going to all of a sudden not run the football. They're going to keep doing what they do well because they're good at it.
They really are, especially Nate Frazier, Chauncey Bowens, and even Gunnar Stockton, pretty effective himself as a runner.
Absolutely. And one thing I like about him, man, he gets north and south. He's not out there trying to extend plays and get 30 yards. He's just trying to get the first down. And he's going to dive forward. He's not going to slide. He is wanting to be aggressive. He gives up his body. He's selfless like that, and you love that competitive nature in him. We got one ourselves, though. Ty Simpson does the same thing, and his teammates respond to that. They love that grit that he displays, and they're willing to lay it on the line as well.
They really are. So, again, you've been part of a rematch scenario from the regular season to the SEC Championship. 2 great wins in 1999 against the Florida Gators. Just how special was that night in Atlanta for you?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, it capped off an incredible season. We ended up 10-3 on the year, had an opportunity to play in the Orange Bowl. And most importantly, we beat Florida, which was great. You won an SEC title, which was awesome. And we kept Tennessee from going to the bowl that they wanted to. So it was an outstanding evening.
Really was. Great year for the Crimson Tide. 1999. Crimson Tide Rewind started our week of programming here on the network, but we are not done yet. So much coming up with football and basketball coverage ahead on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Let's take a look at our upcoming schedule. Tomorrow will certainly be busy with men's basketball against Clemson, hitting the airwaves at 5 o'clock in Tuscaloosa. Then Chris Stewart and Kalen DeBoer will team up for Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show, presented by Alpha Insurance, at 6 p.m. coming up at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Then on Thursday, Crimson Drive returns at 2 o'clock, a full preview of the SEC Championship game. We'll also have the women's basketball game against Clemson that night, and the SEC ACC Challenge hitting the airwaves at 5:45. And then we head to Atlanta. Then on Saturday, football, Alabama against Georgia. Noon Central will be the airtime, 1 o'clock Eastern for all of our fans that are joining us in Atlanta. We look forward to the broadcast and the booth cam presented by Regions Bank coming up on Saturday. Then we're going to rush home back to Tuscaloosa because on December 7th, we have a basketball doubleheader. First of all, the men's team will take on UTSA, led by former Alabama assistant coach Austin Claunch. Noon will be the start time for that broadcast, 1 o'clock at the tip-off. Women's basketball later that afternoon will take on ULM to round out the doubleheader and close out a very busy week, especially a busy time for basketball prior to exams coming up next week. But it's football, it's basketball, it's all happening. You need to make sure you subscribe to the Crimson Tide Sports Network, especially here on YouTube for the very latest. Turn the notifications on so you won't miss anything from the Crimson Tide Sports Network. That's going to wrap up this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to our guest, Damion Square, Chris Stewart, also Ethan Carabin producing the booth cam highlights and this show. We appreciate Tyler Watts as well with Crimson Tide Rewind last night at Baumhauer's in Vestavia Hills. Again, tip of the cap to Ethan, our video producer that puts this entire show together. Thanks to all of you for watching. This is Roger Hoover with you on this Tuesday afternoon. We'll see you again for basketball later in the week and Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, coming up at 2 o'clock on Thursday. Until then, have a great week, everyone. Roll Tide.